experience there changed their life forever. So, Keith, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Keith, you're an IT professional. You're a very successful businessman who's worked in really very responsible jobs in a large number of blue chip companies. Do you find that your colleagues, are they sympathetic? Your fellow workers in the professional sector, do you talk to them about it or about your experiences?
Yeah, good question. Actually, when my colleagues, and I've known them for quite a while because I work alongside them every day, when my case went public and they learned of it through media, they were very supportive and shocked and in awe. It's interesting, I got two reactions as a result of me and Tina's experience. The negative reaction came from total strangers and people who don't know you at all throughout the world. But the people who know me, who work with me or see me every day, nobody ever doubted my claims in my places of employment, friends and family, even people who were not believers in the paranormal became believers in the paranormal just because I experienced it. Like if Keith said this happened, then it happened. They don't have to understand it. They don't have to troubleshoot it. They don't have to try to throw stones at it to see if it breaks apart. Yeah. And then they all put on the supportive role of, wow, that's just crazy. It's just weird. But yeah, so I'm always reminded of the two reactions I got of everyday people, and not all of everyday people were negative, only a small percentage, but nobody that I know or still know were negative. There was never he's attention seeking, because they know me. They know my demeanor. We work together. We have similar professions, and we're in IT. So there we go.
So the intelligent professionals of your own rank in IT accepted it perfectly. And that's what I found when I had a case which involved a university professor from Bangladesh who was having unusual experiences. And at the university, everybody accepted his word. But amongst the general public, he daren't speak about it because he found he got derision and people reacted with really strong emotional reactions. Okay, second question, and this is probably for most people here. I've read both your books. I assume most people have heard of the case, but for those who haven't, let's start right at the beginning. So we're going back some years now, aren't we? And you and Tina, that's correct, isn't it? Move into the house. Would you like to just tell briefly the outline of the story from beginning through to you leaving, as in bullet points or in scenes from a film, if you like? Let's just move through it.
Yeah. So May 2012, for those who are not familiar, me and my girlfriend at the time moved into a brand new home. Home was built in 2005. This is a single unit home on the outskirts of Seattle, Washington. And interesting enough, we started experiencing phenomena right away. The day we went to get the keys to the house, and I say this in my book, probably within the first half an hour to an hour, we heard a kid cough. Now, the house is empty. We have no kids. The homeowner, landlord, had just left. And we were downstairs, and the kid cough came from upstairs. It was very loud. And I always tell people, because this is exactly how it happened, me and Tina were talking, and we heard the kid cough at the same time. And we both stopped and looked at each other and said, at the same time, was that a kid cough? Tina heard it distinctively. I heard it distinctively. It was very resolute. And we were just like caught off guard, but not caught off guard. We have no brush with the paranormal. We have no experience with the paranormal. But it was weird. It sounded like somebody was upstairs, but nobody was upstairs, obviously. And we just shrugged it off. I mean, we're not screaming ghosts. We're not screaming poltergeists. We thought it had to have come from outside. However, all the windows are closed. It was pretty loud for something to come outside to sound that loud, but we're not going to go there. We're excited about the home. So we moved in. Fast forward to maybe a week or two later, items started missing. My car keys, Tina's jewelry. And once again, we would ask each other, hey, have you seen my car keys? Have you seen my earring? Tina would say that. And the answer would always be no. But once again, we moved into a new house. Maybe things got lost during the moving process, right? It happens. What made it more weird, and this is the part you cannot disavow, is when you start finding things in your home that neither of you own, right? And to make it even more interesting, we're finding kid toys, okay? Now, these toys that we're finding are always out in the open. They're displayed openly. They're almost in your direct path, as if they were purposely put in front of you for you to acknowledge. Somebody or something wants you to see this toy. And we would see that, and I would bring a toy to Tina, she would bring one to me. So we just started collecting them. It was weird. We thought we were being pranked by the neighborhood kids, by the neighbors. We thought this was a way of them saying, welcome to the neighborhood. But that would imply that they're coming in while we're sleeping, because we would always find these kid toys in the morning after waking up. So I went and installed a home security system, because who wants somebody in their home while they're asleep, you know? Well, that did not solve the problem. Kid toys still appeared. Okay, so that's weird. Finally, the truth could not be ignored anymore. Common sense now has to take over. The night me and Tina were watching television, and Tina has this plant that's next to the entertainment center. It's about 4 feet tall, and it levitates and it shoots up in the air. It goes up, does a spin, falls down in front of both of our eyes, in front of my eyes and Tina. So I don't have to relate a story to Tina when she comes home. She don't have to relate it to me. We both saw it in real time. And now then we realize we think our house is haunted. Now we don't know what that means. It's obviously something's nefarious here. The internet, the paranormal website says, this is how you can tell your house is haunted. Missing objects, objects moving, phantom footsteps, objects appearing that neither one of you own. We had crossed all that. We had checked all those boxes off. And then we realized or remembered the kid cough. Because one of the things it says on the website, kid cough or kid noises. And we were like, aha, I think we have a kid ghost living in our home. Now, it's very interesting because everybody was telling us, you have a kid ghost. Me and Tina thought, this is not malevolent. Kid ghosts, they get lost, they get confused. You being the person in the home should advise them to, number one, be quiet, leave, be nice, be parental. And generally they'll get the idea, the spirit, they'll leave or whatever over time. Everything we tried to do, we did all that and above, brought about a negative reaction, right? So, example, hey, spirits, stop banging, boom, boom, boom. Hey, spirit, will you please stop banging and making a loud noise? Will you please stop, slamming the door? Well, you would say that in a nice tone, and a plant would fly across the room. A plant would fly in front of you, behind you, side you, and just obliterate upon impact on the wall, on the floor. So you get kind of nervous about even talking to the spirits now, because every time you talk to ask the spirit to stop to do something, for lack of a better word, they attack you. So we're like, okay, well, that didn't work. So now we call in churches, we're calling paranormal teams, we're calling people, and they're advising us, you got to stay firm, you got to stay firm, you got to keep doing what you're doing. Eventually, they'll get the message. Well, as you know, if you're familiar with this case, the spirits didn't get the message. They piled on. The objects that flew got bigger. The objects that flew got heavier. The objects that flew were dangerous. We're talking knives, bar stools, chairs, kitchen chairs, glass candles, ashtrays, ironing board, an iron. You know, you're talking about things that weigh 5 to 10 pounds that when they go flying, they're moving at about the speed of a bullet. And then you get into 2014 of the Bible's catching fire. You know, what made this case controversial or just unbelievable to some was the 3 Bibles that caught fire. And what I always tell people, first Bible number 1 went missing for a year and a half, or a year and 2 months, 3 months, and returned on fire. The spirits took it in 2012. I think it was August 2012 when they took the first Bible. That first Bible came back spring of 2014 on fire. And there's really no way to get around the fact that it was on fire. There were flames on the Bible. Bible number 2 and 3, sort of similar. Bible number 2 disappeared from the upstairs bookshelf and was found on the kitchen table. And then Bible 3 was found on the same bookshelf upstairs, just completely incinerated. And these are the things that me and Tina are witnessing with the naked eye. And some of y'all can see this picture where I'm showing right now, hopefully, or the objects that caught fire. The third burnt Bible, the poster. This poster caught fire spring of 2014, and I called the fire department, which in itself is good evidence to those familiar with poltergeist phenomena, because when the fire department arrived, they could not determine what caused the fire. You know, you have a poster sitting in the middle of a wall, not next to any heat source, and it was on fire. This is the condition. This was taken a few seconds after I extinguished the fire, and this is what the fire department saw, and they left scratching their heads. And most documented poltergeist cases where fire was an issue, the house occupants, the police, the fire department locally generally respond the same way the fire department responded to us, which is, we don't know how that happened. That's just weird. So that, the cross catching fire on the wall downstairs, this is a wooden cross. It was a gift by a church. And as you can see, or you might not be able to see directly, but all the burnt edges on all the sides of the cross have been incinerated. This is the plant that was thrown. This was thrown spring 2012. And this is kind of weird, where the spirit took it upon itself to, and this happened more than once. Everything I'm pretty much showing you, ladies and gentlemen, happened more than once, of the spirit confiscating all the crosses in the home. Now, mind you, when we moved into the house, me and Tina had no cross in the home. We bought these crosses because we were advised to buy them as a means of ridding the home of whatever was living there. Well, the spirit confiscated these crosses in every section of the home and turned them upside down. As you can see, these crosses are turned upside down. The spider, that's a toy spider you see on the left. I don't own that. I don't know where that came from. I don't even, to this day, don't know what it means, but we found a lot of toy spiders in the home. But look at the picture next to the upside down crosses, because that's very interesting. That's a picture of what's his name, Michael the Archangel, the infamous picture with his foot on Satan's head. We've all seen it, right? There's been different versions of that picture. This was given to me by a priest, and we kept this on our Bible, but as you can see, it's turned upside down. The spirit turned the Michael the Archangel standing on Satan's head upside down next to the other two crosses. And to make matters worse, or more interesting, I should say, you see that black dot, or I hope you can see it, is Michael, his face is scorched out. Scorched out. His face is gone. So those are just some of the examples of what we experienced that I want to talk about with your listeners today.
Right. So this takes us through. You've been in the house for some time, and you've experienced what appears to be a malevolent demonic haunting. I mean, did the word demons not spring to mind? Because it's not one that's fashionable in the UK, but certainly that would be my first thought when you're seeing this kind of phenomena.
I would say, you know, the word demon gets thrown around a lot, you know, TV, yep. Paranormal shows, everybody likes to use it. But I would say there were demonic elements to this case. There still are. And one of the things as researchers, if there are any researchers on the call today, we have to be cognizant of is just because the word demon is always overused, yep, does not necessarily mean there won't be instances yep. where it should be used. You know, we always tend to overcompensate. Oh, people always talking about demon. Well, sometimes you can cry wolf. You know, people cry wolf all the time. But when the wolf finally shows up, everybody's reaction is kind of, that's what we always hear. No. This is the real wolf now. The real wolf has showed up to Keith and Tina's house, and the evidence points to that. It's not them, because Keith and Tina have no experience with the paranormal. We have no buy-in, if you will, to the paranormal until now. Now you're kind of baptized in it, right? You're baptized unwillingly. Therefore, you see things, you hear things. I saw shadowy figures. I don't make that up. I just saw that. I later learned seeing shadowy figures coincides with poltergeist activity. It's not outside the realm of impossibility. You've seen it, and you had zero knowledge. Therefore, you sound organic. Your claims seem organic to us. I've seen objects fly. I've seen objects go through walls. I've seen objects go through ceilings. I've had chef knives thrown at me. You're talking about a 12-inch knife thrown at me multiple times. Tina had scratches, poking and prodding, stomping, things put in your path as you're coming down the stairs that if any other day, if you tripped, would cause severe or significant injury. And I did have a significant injury, a mysterious fall that resulted in me tearing off my kneecap. So yeah, it's okay to use the word demon when it fits, and I think it fits with a lot of elements of this case.
Keith, did you find that the more attention you paid to the haunting, the more that you interacted with the spirit, the more that you looked into it, the more powerful it seemed to become, or the more dramatic the occurrences? Did you feel that fed it?
There's a definite correlation between attention and activity increasing. Like I said at the beginning, I think spirits, they put those toys in our direct path, right? They wanted us to see them, you know. Therefore, we saw them, but me and Tina were not giving the spirits attention at that stage. So the spirit was like, well, we just got to throw a plant in front of these guys because they're not catching on. So the day we saw the plant levitate, it was all hands on. It was 911 to the churches. It was 911 to this organization, to this people. It was me bringing in cameras, monitoring devices, trying to capture the phenomena in real time. And they get that energy, you know, you're bringing in more electronic equipment, right? You're putting cameras in every room. You're putting, you know, SD cards in the camera. The spirit's taking them. They're rebooting your cameras. Some cameras are still missing to this day. I went out and bought more cameras. So you become a cat chasing its tail, you know, and the poltergeist is the tail, but I'm the cat. So we're going in circles. And like I said, we didn't have any crosses in the home, but a lot of crosses caught fire. We bought crosses in, we bought Bibles in, and those items caught fire. Um, and you're right. So there's a correlation between, number one, the activity and the acknowledgement. And there's even more correlation between the removal, especially a spiritual removal. In our case, and other document cases too, poltergeists have been known to escalate the activity at the offset of a spiritual removal. I mean, you're using religion to get them out of the house, but you really don't know what's in the house, right? I mean, you really don't know what's there, so you might have an adverse reaction. You know, they say never pour water on an electrical fire, you know, or a gasoline fire. So the reaction or the result you were looking for, no, you're going to get the total opposite. And that's what happened with us, is we went in saging, smudging. A lot of people said smudge, and I understand that. I totally get that. We never smudged before. We have zero experience with smudging. And every time we would smudge, the activity went from 0 to 20 in less than a second for days. Days.
A lot of members of ASSAP, because we're in the UK, I mean, I happen to know what it means, but can you just explain what smudging is? It's burning sage, bundles of sage.
Yeah. So yeah, sage stick, smudging. I could tell you now, and I don't know if it's the same way in the United States, but or in the UK, but it's definitely smudging is a big deal in the US. I can tell you it's probably the top 3 things to use to quiet a house that's active. And so we were advised to smudge or sage. I went out and bought, I had to go look for it, never heard of it before, so I went and bought some. You know, I'm walking in the house with a bag this big, full of sage sticks. I just needed one.
Yeah.
And the spirits, or our spirits, just take that and use it against you. Like I said, they use the sage sticks to write on the walls. The first wall markings in my office wall were written in sage ash. Okay, I would leave to work and my sage stick would be this big, right? This is how long my sage stick is when I go to work. When I come home, my sage stick is this big, but I got whole new wall writings of ash on my wall, and the sage stick is laying underneath the wall writing. It's like, haha, you use your sage stick. The spirit is letting you know that doesn't work on us. That does not work on us. It's like a silver bullet don't work on a werewolf, right? The werewolf is telling you, here's your bullet back. Here, you can shoot me all day. It don't work on me. I'm a different breed of werewolf, okay? I'm a different breed. Only thing your bullets is doing is making me stronger. So you're like, oh, I need to stop shooting bullets at you. And that's what the poltergeist in our house was doing. It was like, you can bring Bibles in all you want. We're going to burn on me. I guess you like having your Bibles returned to you on fire and your sage sticks, incinerated, but it don't work on us. But it's going to make you and Tina's life miserable because now the activity is triple,
It's interesting because in the UK, sage is not, I must be a Native American tradition or something, because it's not something that we use very often. I mean, we use it in making puddings, stuffing, as kind of like onion. But it was used in the Middle Ages when people were summoning spirits and demons to give them strength and allow them to manifest. You would burn sage and other herbs, bitter herbs, to create a smoke so that the demon or spirit could form a body in your magic circle. So actually, from an occult viewpoint, I would think about it and think, actually, I'm not sure this was a good idea. Burning smelly herbs might actually be seen, if you were an occultist, to make the spirit stronger.
Yeah, and that's the theory, like I said.
That's just the difference in culture between the UK and US. So, yeah. If it was church incense, that would be more traditional, I think, for us. We would sense it with church incense. But so, okay, so obviously at this point, you've got the grandmother of all. I mean, this is the biggest poltergeist case, I think, of the 21st century so far, from what you're saying. And I mean, I've read your book and I know how dramatic it is. And then, obviously, people begin to doubt, and there's all kinds of mockers and knockers. But the obvious question that first comes to mind is, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you just walk out the door, get in the car, phone the landlord, and say, your house is unlivable, here are the keys? That's my first question. What kept you in the house? Because I think that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a fair question, and I get that question a lot, and I put the answer in both books. So there's multiple reasons why we stayed, but there's three primary reasons why me and Tina stayed, mainly myself. One of the top three reasons of why we stayed is, and this is not talked about a lot as it relates to this case, but it's true. Me and Tina had activity in 2012 from pretty much the time we moved in till November or December of 2012. The activity, believe it or not, came to an abrupt stop, and we did not have any activity for the year 2013. There was a year and maybe 2 months where we had no activity. And I always tell people, the activity we had in 2012, if you compare it to the activity that we had in 2014, there's no comparison. What we had in 2012, you can say maybe low-level haunting, level 1 on a scale of 1 to 5, a level 1 low-level haunting. You can even say it was malevolent. You can say it was interesting, but you can't really say it was malevolent. Not yet. Not yet. By the time we were entertaining the thought to just move, though, because we just got tired of it, the activity stopped. And we thought we won. Oh, we won. Now we can live in the house like we want to. They're gone. When the activity came back in 2014, and that was about March or April, it came back tenfold. And we were caught off guard, and we went rushing to the Catholic Church. And I put this in my book. Everybody that was helping us said, you got to fight this here. You cannot leave. We will help you, because keep in mind, even if you leave, there's a possibility that they might follow you. And if you follow you, then, what are you going to do then? So they said, the Catholic Church, the Seattle Catholic Church, the Bothell Catholic Church, they said, this needs to end now. This needs to end in this house, okay? Because if you leave this house, oh man, the dynamic changes. So that was the second primary reason. And the third primary reason was, and this is a personal reason, especially for me, is I didn't like the idea of being run out of my own house. Call me stubborn, call me silly, you'd be right. Call me naive, you'd be right. I don't know what I'm fighting, but I don't want to be run out of my own house. And I definitely don't want to have another family come in after me and deal with something similar. Well, a lot of people don't know about this case, but it's in both books, is there was a family who lived in the Bothell house from 2008 to 2009 who had similar activity. I found them. I talked to them. And one of the questions I asked them, because it's a fair question, why didn't y'all tell anybody? And she told me, and it's an honest answer, and most people would give the answer she gave. We just moved. This is not something you confide in. You can barely confide in it with your family members or your friends, let alone landlords, tenants, and strangers. If you're moving into a new house, one of the first questions they ask you is, why'd you leave the old house? Oh, because it was haunted. Most new homeowners don't want you in their house, so they just left. So it was always a silent treatment, and then it was allowed to fester. Here comes Keith and Tina 4 years later, right? So now, I'm saying, no, it is now. I'm not leaving. If I do leave, it's going to be on my terms, not the spirit's terms. And just to prove that my concept of them
So
following.
another question that grows out of that: the landlord. What did you say to the landlord about it?
Yeah. So the landlord is one of the first person I went to about the house being haunted. And the landlord said he knew no knowledge. I asked him multiple times. But interesting, he never would come to the house. I would invite him to the house.
Okay.
Yeah, he never came. And this is that. And if you got both my books, you will see The Landlord, me and Tina saw May 1st, 2012. The next time I saw the landlord, I'm talking about visually saw him. Keep in mind, 3 Bibles done caught fire, poster done caught fire, fire department has been to the house. All this stuff exploding in this house. TV shows have been to the house. The national media has been to the house. The world media has been to the house. The landlord, the only time he's been to the house was May 1st, 2012, and May 8th, 2016, when I moved out. Those are the only 2 times. Dishwasher's broke. Water heater's not working. He doesn't even come near. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. He's purposely staying away from the house. So
did he pay to have
I think the landlord knew something was wrong with the house.
Right.
Once again, he's not living in it. So, and then he never set foot in the house.
And who's living there now? Do you know?
A husband and wife lives in the house now. I moved out May 2016. The landlord, he sold the house soon after. And a husband and wife moved in July of 2016. I have not talked to them. I have not been back to the house. People always ask me, are they experiencing anything? I tell them I don't know. Parapsychologist Steve Mera says you can have low activity in that house and not even know you have it. I mean, how many of us, when we walking around in our daily lives, you misplace something, you don't really go looking for it, right? You just think it's going to turn up on its own, or you leave a room and the light's off, come back, it's on, or vice versa. Or you think you closed this door and you really didn't, it's open. That's the type of low level activity these people could be experiencing. Long as they don't do what I did, which is, look the abyss in the dark with your dead eyes and it'll look back at you. But even if that case is not so much, one of the mysterious things about poltergeist is not the house that's haunted. The poltergeist is what's causing the activity. It's not the house. Some of the most famous cases, Enfield being one and others, the location where the crazy activity happened for a number of months or years is dormant now. I think there's a dynamic, a synergy between the occupants and the energy that's there that's sort of meld. Whenever me and Tina walked in that door, the spirit saw us as wanting because we heard the kid cough within 20 minutes of being there. Within 20 or 30 minutes of being there, the spirit said, that's who we want to interact with. That's not the previous family who had the house, who had a husband and wife and 3 kids. No, those two we want to try to, get some interaction with. And they did. Now, anybody else after us? Maybe not so. I think probably as from a credibility state, the spirits know that if we blow up the next family, if we give the next family anything similar to Keith and Tina, we're just helping Keith and Tina's case. The skeptics are going to just not have a leg to stand on if we start burning Bibles in the family that moved in after Keith. So no, so I think the spirits are aware of that. They have to do things on their own terms.
What was the target? Was it you? Was it Tina?
Or
was it your relationship? Or was it getting you out of the house? What was the aim of the entity?
The ultimate aim of these spirits in our house was they wanted me and Tina at each other's throats. They wanted me and Tina to kill each other. The spirits at the beginning started haunting our surrounding area. They're haunting the house. okay? And they're watching our reaction to it. Then they move into phase 2, which is they're haunting mainly Tina, okay? Tina's seeing most of the phenomena. She's coming back to me. She's hysterical. She's frightened. Then they pivot off Tina to me, okay? And then when they get on me, they stay on me. They're still on me. And the ultimate goal, as we're trying to rid the house of the activity, is to put us at odds with each other, okay? To put things, to get us arguing, to get us in disagreements about the smallest things, the smallest things. Did you remember to call the priest? Oh, I was busy at work today, I forgot. And me only working on 4 hours of sleep, I would get upset. You told me you was gonna call the priest today, so now the priest is not coming over. Well, I got other things to do. I got busy, work got busy. So that little bit of disagreement, bam, the house blows up. Boom, 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 boom. And vice versa. Tino will say, did you call to do this or da-da-da-da-da-da? Tonight is your turn to smudge. I smudged last night. Or I read from the Bible last night. Now it's your turn. Well, I'm too tired. I don't want to read from the Bible. I'm too tired. I'm going to bed. No, the priest said we have to take turns reading from the Bible. He said we can't do it 60-40. We can't do it 70-30. We got to do it 50-50. If we do it any other way, the spirits are going to latch on to me more or you more. No, I'm just too tired. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And then bam, 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 the house blows up again. So I think it was a divide and conquer game plan from the spirit's point of view. And ultimately, yeah, it led to our breakup, yeah.
How many years did you live there?
Huh? 4 years.
So you moved in 2000, sorry.
2012, moved out 2016.
Right, okay, 2012 to 2016. So 4 years you're there, and during that time, you have a year and a half of no incident.